If you've been scrolling through endless pages of gaming PC ads and thinking, I just need something that runs my favorite games without lag, fits on my desk, and won't bleed my wallet dry, you're not alone. Most of us want a machine that works straight out of the box, stays cool when we're on a marathon session, and actually feels like a good investment instead of a stack of parts that sound impressive but never deliver. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. That's the sweet spot we're aiming for, and the iBUYPOWER Element SE tries to hit it with a balance of performance and price. Let's start with the day-to-day reality of using this rig. The core of the system is an AMD Ryzen 5 5500, a 6-core CPU that lives comfortably in the mainstream bracket. For most modern titles, think Valorant, Fortnite, or even Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. That processor handles the load without choking. You'll notice a smooth transition between menus and the game itself, which is a relief if you've ever been stuck at a loading screen that feels like a ticking time bomb. The 16 GB of DDR4 RAM, clocked at 3200 MHz, is non-RGB but still responsive enough for multitasking. Open a browser, keep Discord running, and hop into a game, and you won't be swapping tabs like a circus performer. The graphics side is where the Element SE draws the line. The AMD Radeon RX 6500 XT with 4 GB of VRAM is a modest card aimed at 1080p gaming. In practice, it shines on games that aren't texture-heavy. Rocket League, Apex Legends on medium settings, and indie hits like Hades run buttery smooth at 60 frames per second. However, throw a modern AAA title like Cyberpunk 2077 or Red Dead Redemption 2 into the mix, and you'll quickly bump into frame rate drops unless you dial everything down to low or very low. That's not a defect, it's just the reality of a budget-oriented GPU. If you plan to game at 144 Hz on a high refresh monitor, you'll need to temper expectations or consider a future upgrade. Storage is a nice surprise. The 512 GB NVMe SSD boots Windows 11 Home in under 10 seconds and loads games in a snap. That speed translates into less waiting and more playing, especially when you compare it to older HD-only builds. You'll still run out of space after a handful of large titles, but that's a common trade-off at this price point. Adding an external drive or a secondary SSD is straightforward, given the interior layout includes an extra 2.5-inch bay. Now, who should actually buy this machine? If you're a casual gamer who mostly sticks to esports titles, indie games, or older releases, the Element SE gives you a ready-to-play experience without the hassle of building a PC yourself. It also works well for students or remote workers who need a reliable Windows environment for coding, video editing, or streaming lectures, tasks that benefit from the 6 cores and fast SSD. The included keyboard and mouse are functional, not flashy, which keeps the package's price from inflating. For anyone who wants to step into PC gaming without spending upwards of $1,500 on a high-end rig, this is a solid entry point. On the flip side, if you're chasing ultra-high settings on the newest releases, the GPU will be your bottleneck. Serious 4K gamers or those who want ray tracing on every title should skip this build and allocate more budget toward a stronger graphics card or a pre-built system that already houses one. Likewise, power users who demand extensive RGB lighting or a custom cooling loop will find the stock case a bit plain and the thermal solution adequate but not spectacular. The system runs warm under prolonged load, but the case's airflow handles it well enough for short to moderate sessions. If you intend to push the machine for many hours straight, keep an eye on temperatures and consider adding an extra case fan. A hidden trade-off many overlook is the upgrade path. iBUYPOWER uses a standard ATES-compatible motherboard, which means you can swap out the GPU later without needing a new case. However, the power supply is a modest 450W unit, just enough for the stock parts. If you upgrade to a GPU that draws 200W more, you'll need to replace the PSU. The good news is the unit is a reputable brand, so swapping it isn't a huge pain, but it does add an extra step to the upgrade roadmap. Another practical detail is the software bundle. Windows 11 Home arrives pre-installed, And the system includes a basic set of drivers and a few utilities from iBUYPOWER to monitor hardware stats. There's no bloatware that slows you down, which is refreshing compared to many low-cost pre-built PCs that ship with trial versions of antivirus software. You get a clean start, but you'll still want to run Windows Update and install your preferred graphics driver from AMD for the best performance tweaks. Let's talk about the price-to performance ratio. When you compare the Element SE to buying individual components and assembling them yourself, you save about 1,520% on the total cost because the company buys